I really don't want to show you guys my lighting diagram for this, but we're gonna have this contrast where your product is gonna be on display because all that's gonna be in the background is white, and then your product's just gonna pop out. The Obsessive DP. Hey y'all, welcome to the Obsessive DP. My name is Ryan. This is the show where we go over high-end, industry standard, high-quality production value like you would see on high-end TV shows, movies, and commercials. That's what makes us different over here at the Obsessive DP. And today we're gonna go over two different toy commercial setups that we did. These were broadcast commercials that ran for probably a year or at least a season. They're totally different qualities. One of them I did at the very beginning of the DP career, and the other we did way more recently. And just the quality of light and lensing is completely different. When I was planning for that commercial, I searched far and wide on the internet for lighting a studio, for lighting a toy commercial, for lighting a product. I'm approaching this channel like the instructional video I wanted 6 years ago. So hopefully this is gonna help you guys light better, figure out how to do things in a high level way, because as you're gonna see in a minute, I had no idea what I was doing 6 years ago. All right, check this out. This is the first commercial. Let's see the date on this, because I'm not really sure. So yeah, we definitely filmed this 2016. All right, here's our setup. So on this setup, for Surprise Moles, we're on a white psych stage. I had no idea how to light a psych stage, so we made sure we got one that was already lit. Here it is. Here's the setups. We had some tights on the product, obviously. We had some tights on the product again, pushing into it. We had our actresses and our actors here. I guess they're all called actors now. Honestly, it turned out pretty good. I feel like this spot was saved in color correction, because as you'll see in the raw footage, it was pretty rough. I really don't want to show you guys my lighting diagram for this, but let me actually pull up the rental. All right, here's the invoice from Brainbox where we rented the gear from. We got a red Scarlet, blah, blah, blah. All right, here is 4 Soak and Land 50-watt light panels. So we had 4 50-watt light panels and 2 KinoFlow Diva lights. That's it. That's what we rented. So the LED panels are 1 by 1. They're 50-watt. They're not very bright. And then obviously the KinoFlow Divas are KinoFlow Divas, which are totally different qualities of light. But I think that's all the lights they had. So that's all the lights we rented. So here was the setup. All right, so let's just pretend that this is the psych stage here. I know it's already white. So let's make it black. This is our stage. So there's already lights here, 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 lighting the psych, making it a nice even psych, right? But we walked in very confidently, and this is what we set up. So psych's looking this way, there's toys here, toys here. We had our people here. I put one panel here. I confidently walked over, put another panel here. I confidently walked over, put another panel here, and then ran out of panels. So now I put some KinoFlows here, here. It pains me to look at this because it doesn't make any sense. It's basically, this is not how a DP should work. This is not how I should have ever worked, but I was working on the information I had at the time and the experience I had at the time. So honestly, knowing that, looking back at the spot, it's not terrible. It's not terrible, but let me show you guys a few things that are a little depressing. All right, let's look at this close-up. Look at the close-up of this toy. You can literally see the panels. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see 4 in this one. It's not any kind of beauty light. The eyes are the window to the soul. So we want the eyes to look gorgeous, and we want a key eye light and a little fill eye light. You seen those emojis or those art drawings with the big white in the eye, big white in the eye? That is what we see as beautiful. So if the eyes are the window to the soul, we want them to look beautiful. This doesn't look beautiful. It's a little depressing to look back at this. So look at her eyes. Yeah, again, there's 3 panels in one, there's 4 in the other. And it's very like, one's higher than the other. It's very disjointed. It doesn't look good. Man, it's crazy. Unfortunately, it was just kind of what we had budgeted for this. Obviously, if we had a bigger budget, we would have hired a DP at that time because I wasn't confident, but I think it actually worked. It actually turned out in the end. A few other interesting things did happen on the shoot though. I think after lunch, I looked up and realized the house lights were on in the room we were still filming in, and they were completely different color temp. They were probably 3200. So we had 3200 mixed with our 5600 light panels and Divas. So you see how her shadows look kind of orange? I think it was here. We did what we could in color correction, and I think we made it look good, but there was a definite shift where it was all blue, all white, and then turned to yellow. Another thing we did here that we thought was gonna be a great idea, and you guys might think this too. We thought, and we told the client,
hey, we're working on a white background, right? Because that's what we can afford. We can't afford to build out a stage, but we're gonna use a white background. Then we're gonna bring in all these shelves and all this product, and your product is gonna look awesome because it's going to pop out of that white background. And you're gonna have this contrast where your product is gonna be on display because all that's gonna be in the background is white, and then your product's just gonna pop out. Doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. We've tried this one other time here with Mushmeez. This was a commercial that we did as well, where we kind of used a more bland background, and then the toy looks bland. It's very interesting how it works. I feel like this is the best shot because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of color contrast. There's some animation thrown in with that nice purple. I mean, this shot looks so bland because it's just gray in the background. It almost looks like a hospital room. It almost looks like a medical. It's very interesting how the toy doesn't pop. We actually added this purple background to the island shot, and I feel like that looks really good. So if that background wall was that purple, I think we would have had a much better looking spot. But it's just stuff you learn. You live and you learn. Like, it wasn't like the client was super unhappy with this commercial. We wanted things to change, but that's just how it is in this industry. You're learning every day. That's what's so cool about being a DP. That's why we started this show. We want you guys to learn. We're here for you. Ask us questions, and let's keep moving. So that was pretty much it with Surprisables and Mushmeez. Now I'm gonna show you the latest spot. First off, since we just talked about the backdrop, look at the background. This awesome blue color. It actually kind of matches this toy, which you think, well, it's just gonna blend in, but it doesn't. Well, we specifically put it on a white background to make sure it doesn't blend in, but it looks good. It looks like we're matching the toy now. We're matching the universe with our backdrop, with our colors back there. We got posters, we got other product, we got white. Even that dresser back there, we painted a little bit pink just because white looks white. It looks aesthetic. It kind of looks like a doctor's office or just something boring. As a kid's universe, it's got to look good. So having that pink back there, I think was really nice. It's just a totally different feel to this spot. Totally different feel. Let's look at the eyes now. Look at her eyes here. So she's got just 2 lights this time. A bigger one screen left that's higher, and then another one screen right that's a little smaller. Right, so our key was on the left, our fill's on the right. You could see it in her face. It washes one direction instead of bop, 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 bop. Instead of having 4 different lights that are just even across the face and have 4 dots in the eyes, which doesn't look good. But now we know, we learned. Who's next to me here? There's a truck. This shot, this is my favorite. Look at that just great big key light in her eye. I just think it looks great. And there's a nice key side, a nice downside. I love this frame. I think this is a great frame. I wish we would have gone a little higher up with the camera, but we're trying to focus on the toy and kind of cuts her off her head, but it works. Look at this one. Same thing. Beautiful key light, beautiful fill light. Her face is wrapped nicely. It's super soft. And now we'll show you how we got that soft light. So our diagram is completely different this time. Let's just destroy this. Die, 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 die. Boom. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're actually gonna have a massive light box here. So we had a light grid 6x6 here, right? So this is our key. Imagine that our kids are here. This is the table, right? Products on the table, our talents behind it. So the key side, we had an M18 pounding into a 6x ultra bounce, and then that was shooting back through a 6x light grid, which gave us a book light, which is the most wrappiest light you can get. It's a massive source that is super soft, and it looks beautiful. It looks gorgeous in this frame. It just lights everything so even and so soft. You barely see any shadows. It's just awesome. And then on the other side, we had a sky panel. We had an S60 sky panel just pounding into a 6x ultra bounce on this side, right? And we had a lot of gack to make sure that light wasn't going everywhere and we weren't getting any hard light from the M18. And then we had a window here. We actually had kind of 2 windows in frame. This window here, we just completely blocked. This window, we had an M18 pounding through a full grid. So on the Tech Scout, we learned that the sun is not going to come through this window. So we were fine with just a full grid. Otherwise, we would have had to then put black wrap behind the M18, made sure that wherever the sun was going to be, it was not ever going to hit that window, because that's going to give us a totally different light. And we don't want the light to change. This is not a day to night scene. This is just all supposed to be day. So the light stayed totally even though this was just full grid without blocking any ambient spill from the sun. In this window here, that's where our M18 was. We also had shears on the outside of that. So not only was it being diffused by the full grid, it was the shears were also diffusing it even further, and it just gave us a little bit more backlighting here, a little more wrap. You know what? I forgot we had a backlight. We had our key, we have our fill, and then we had a mini mole LED back here that was just edging them. let's check out some photos. All right, so here is our fill. That was my alarm. It's early. This is our fill. This is our sky panel shooting into our 6x Ultra. We blocked off a little bit of the ceiling because we did not want a blue cast. Our ceiling was blue, which is a little awkward. You don't want to shine a light directly into that blue because you're gonna get blue back on our scene and on our actresses, and we don't want that. So this side here, let's get a better view of it. This side is our key. Obviously, we have our 6x quarter grid on this side. Here's our backlight, our mini mole. That was just, we moved it around. That was really the only light we moved. We did have two setups where we moved the setup slightly, but the key and the fill pretty much stayed the same all day long. Obviously, the windows stayed the same all day long. We were just moving around this mini mole as we needed it. I actually think it's a baby mole. Does it look bright out there? It's working. Shooting this in the morning. Here's a good shot of our light box. This is our book light. The light is beautifully coming through Seth's arm here. So this is our Ultra, 6x Ultra back here. Here's just some flags. Shh. Here's just some flags so that the light doesn't blind people or it doesn't spill over into where it's not supposed to spill. Here's our 6x quarter grid, and then we actually blocked off the bottom portion of that quarter grid because we didn't want the light to go up people's necks. It's not natural for light to like shoot up under the chin, which mine's kind of doing right now. You want it to come down on your actors, right? So we ran out of room in the ceiling. This was not a high ceiling, or else we would just have it higher and then we probably wouldn't need this black at all. But since the light was getting pretty low on our actors, we did not want the light to come up, light this part of the neck, because it's just not natural and it's not flattering. So as you can see from the camera angle, our grid is not covering our bounce perfectly. And that's just because we're dealing with this product shot. It was fine. This bounce portion never hit our product directly, so it worked. We moved it around throughout the day just to kind of make sure we weren't getting just bounce in our scene, but we're getting bounce and quarter grid, because that's what makes a nice light. I always try to think of what could we do better. So I feel like for this setup, what we could have done better is actually light the background differently. I feel like the background didn't have a good feel to it, or we couldn't actually manipulate it at all. We're just dealing with our key and fill. And a setup like this also usually have a deeper background, so then you need to light them. But for our setup, just the key and the fill and our M18 from the side window, that's all that was lighting the background. But what's really cool in these commercials is that a lot of times you get the RGBW lights, you line them up kind of like you're lighting a psych stage, and you hit the background with those, and then you could change the color. We could have had pink background, purple background, blue background. I think that would have been fun. That's what we want to try in the next shoot. But as it is, I mean, this is the best studio setup we've done. I hope it was helpful. I hope you guys learned something. Please subscribe down below and ask any questions you have as we're trying to make content for this channel, and stay obsessed.